Greetings everyone, welcome to Advance. We are back again in the Sharjah Challengers series saga that we are covering, and with the white pieces we have the magician Divya Deshmukh facing off against Farahat Ali. And now in the first match against Akshat Sureka, she was able to get a devastatingly amazing win, and in the second match against Vedant Nagakatte, she was able to get a win with the black pieces. Then she again got a draw with the black pieces against Dhruv Tota. Now she again has the white pieces and she's the sole leader of the tournament. Let's see how she converts this one. So without further ado, let's start with this game. With the white pieces, Divya here goes for e4. We have e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, and she goes for bishop to b5. This is the royal pace. We have a6, Morphy's defense, and bishop to a4 and just b5. And we have bishop to b3, knight to f6, and just castles in this position. Bishop to c5, and now just finally going for a4, challenging those queenside pawns. Rook to b8 now, and just c3, just making some breathing room for the bishop, and now just d6. And now what do you do in this position? Here an immediate strike towards the center by Divya. She goes for d4. We have bishop to b6, now just going for a5, just pushing the bishop further back, bishop to a7, and now just h3, not allowing that bishop to get developed. So what do you do in this position? Here just h6, first awaiting move, and now just bishop to e3. We have rook to a8, again going back with the rook may be a weird idea, but the thing is that is the best move recommended by the engine, so it works. Hey, knight bd2 was played, now just castles, and here rook to e1, here rook to e8, bishop to a2, and just bishop to b7 in this position. Queen to b3 now, and rook to f8, just moving the rook back. And here what do you do in this position? Bishop to b1 was played, just rerouting the bishop towards the diagonal where it's supposed to be to try and go for an attack. And what do you do in this position? How do you develop the bishop? Because your bishop pair are not doing as that much as white's bishop pair is. So maybe a move like knight to d7 makes sense, because here after knight to f1, you play knight to e7, knight to g3, and knight to g6. And after you've remaneuvered both the bishops, here queen to d1, and after rook to e8. Yes, you're going to have to face that annoying attack, but the thing is at least your bishops are free now, and maybe you can try to do something with them. But after bishop to b1, here we have releasing the tension in the center, and mostly your teachers and everyone would have told you right from the get-go that, you know, don't release the tension early on, try to keep as much tension as possible. And here in this position, e caps on d4 was played, which is not at all a good move and gives white the advantage, as you can see with the bar shooting up. And now just c caps on d4, we have rook to e8, and now just knight to f1. And knight to f1 is a normal idea in royal pace setups. You want to get the knight to basically g3, and here in this position just knight to e7 was played, and maybe knight to e7 is a bit too late now, because you can see that that advantage is growing by the second for Divya. And the thing is that if you don't do anything with the black pieces now, and all the moves, last few moves that black has played, not gone in black's favor at all, and now Divya is definitely looking to convert this game to a victory. She goes for knight to g3 first, now just coming knight to g6, and here we have a strike in the center, d5, just completely nullifying that bishop's influence over this diagonal, and also asking for a trade of dark square bishop, which will only help white. And here we have c5 first, just trying to maybe get the bishop alive, but the thing is that c5 is not a good move. Here just d caps on c6 on passant was played, and we have bishop caps on c6. But now in this position, you could go for a very nice move in this position with a move like knight to d4, attacking the bishop. And if you go for bishop to b7, knight to f5, and after rook to bishop to c8, because you want to be able to eliminate this piece, because that piece is a bit too strong, you play rook to d1, not worried about that. Bishop captures, knight captures, bishop caps on e3, and here just f captures. Yes, you've doubled the pawn. Yes, you've made a king side a bit too weak, but that piece is a bit too strong. And the thing is that now queen to c7 if you play, then just comes rook to f1, and most likely here white will take this game, because the thing is that queen is a bit too strong, rook is already eyeing this, knight is already on f5. You can get the bishop developed to a decent square, maybe here, maybe get the rook into the game, and white is controlling most of the squares. And thing is, yes, you have double pawns, and yes, that pawn is under attack. So for now, for the moment, you cannot move the bishop where you want it to, but you can move it to d3, and you can get the rook into the game as well. Everything is working in your favor, and you know, when you have this much space and it's move 28, most likely you're going to convert this game to a win. But after bishop caps on c6, we have bishop to c2. Now first connecting the rooks, bishop caps on e3, and just rook captures. We have bishop to b7, just moving the bishop back, playing a waiting move to see what white's idea is. Queen to b4 now, just rook to c8, attacking the bishop. We have bishop to b3, rook to c5, and now just finally going for rook to d1. And here we have queen to c7, just find a nice developing move. You want to put the queen behind the rook and maybe take control of the c file, but what attack do you have in this position? Yes, you have some pressure towards that very nice e4 pawn, but for the moment it's defended by the knight, the rook, and the queen, so you cannot do anything. But do you have something for the future? Hey, queen to e1 was played, not worried about anything, and just knight to e5, jumping in with the knight. And if you go for knight to d4 now, again with the same idea of getting the knight to f5, the thing is that knight to c4 comes, and now if you play bishop captures, because you have to, that knight is a bit too strong, b captures, knight to f5, maybe you would have something, but the engine is showing it as a normal, evaluation. Maybe you play rook to e6 in this position and your position will be absolutely fine. But again, not much to think about here. After knight to e5, we have knight caps on e5. That's why maybe not going for that line here. Just rook caps on ce5. And if you go for d caps on e5, the thing is that comes knight to f5, and knight on f5 is a really strong piece. If you go for bishop to c8 now, just comes knight to d6, and now you see why you're in trouble. Rook to e7, here just comes knight caps on f7. Knight caps on f7 is a beautiful move, because if you go for rook caps on f7 in this position, now just comes queen to b4, and now I'm controlling a lot of these diagonal squares. You cannot even move the king out of the way, because now the trouble is this would be hanging, and you cannot defend this and you cannot defend this at the same time and move the king out of the way. So here just rook to c4, now first attacking and maybe giving up this exchange. We have bishop captures, b captures, rook to c3, now just targeting this pawn. How do you defend? Hey, bishop to e6, but now just comes rook to d6, and now I'm targeting this, I'm targeting this. I also have some eyes on the back rank. If your queen ever moves, I'm just targeting a lot of those diagonals, and it's the thing is that my pieces are much more active. Yes, you have two pieces for the rook, but those pieces are not coordinating as well as they should. You don't have an attack going, you're facing a passive position, your rooks cannot get inside the position, your knight cannot jump in. Yes, maybe you have, if you give black two moves, maybe you'll be able to see this position equalize, but you cannot get those two moves for free here. If you go for knight caps on e4, just rook caps on e6, and after this knight caps on c3, most likely b captures. Still the position is very much winning. I'm attacking three pawns at the same time, which are weak. You have four pawn islands. This position is, I'm taking it home. So that's the problem. So here after knight captures, we have rook caps on e5, calculating all of this precisely here. But the thing is that now comes f3, cementing that very nice structure, and also the knight is going to be a spectacular piece once it lands there. Bishop to c8 was played. That's why we have king to h5 and just bishop to e6. Now we have bishop captures, rook captures, and just rook to c1 in this position, and we have queen to b8. And that's the thing. You can see this position from the get-go. Divya had the advantage. Yes, sometimes she was not able to find the best move, but it was not even for a moment in the entire game that black was able to get a decent advantage. And that's the thing. Once you have this kind of position where you have to defend all the way till the very end, and you don't have those pieces that very active, somewhere along the line you're about to blunder. And in this position, for queen to b8, you could have played queen to a7. Not at all an easy move to spot, because here after rook to e2 you play g6. That's what you have to understand, because after rook to c6 you play d5, and then you'll have some advantage. Maybe rook caps on e6, rook captures e5, knight moves back, maybe you play f4, maybe you have cement that, and you have to understand this pass pawn is the thing that will get you some advantage in that endgame. But hey, queen to b8, not at all a good move, because now just comes knight to f5, and that knight is a very, very strong piece, and Divya immediately knew that knight was sitting there for the rest of the game. You could have played knight to f5 at any time. The great thing about these talented players is that they know when to place what perfect piece at what place, and that's why here in this position knight to f5 comes as a perfect move, and engine definitely loves it. Here d5, still trying to go for this, but now just comes this knight to d4 attacking the rook. We have d caps on e4, sacrificing the exchange, but just knight captures, and it's really not enough. Rook captures, f caps on e4, queen to e5, but now just comes this queen to c3. If you trade queens, your endgame is completely winning. So here knight caps on e4 was played, but now just comes this as a really, really bad blunder, because now I can actually trade the queens and the endgame is completely winning for me. And here Divya does it with absolute style, having the advantage for the entire game and showing who's the boss. Queen captures on e5. Here just rook captures, now just comes rook to f3, and here b4 was tried, but just rook to b3, king to h7, and now just jumping in with the rook. Here we have rook caps on a5, just grabbing one piece, but here just rook caps on b4, just finally grabbing the b4 pawn. Knight to d2, rook to g1, and rook to f5 was tried, but now just comes rook to d7, just attacking that knight. Rook to f1 check was played, king to h2, now rook to d1, but now just comes this rook to d4. And what do you do in this position? Here knight to f1 check was played to get out of all of these things, but here king to g1, The trouble is this doesn't solve your problems, because the thing is that now you're going to have to forcibly trade the pieces. Rook to b1 was played, but now just comes this very nice rook to d1. This was the final nail in the coffin, and the thing is, if you trade everything and even get the knight to safety, the endgame is completely winning beer, because you're an exchange down. There is nothing you can do, and it was on this move, on just move 49, just before reaching move 50, here Farahat resigned the game, and Divya has had a magical start to the tournament. She has had 3.5 out of 4. That's a spectacular start, and now if she manages to even draw 4 games in a row, or 5 games in a row, or all of the games in a row, she'll still have a really great winning chances towards the entire tournament, and hopefully she does. She's been showing spectacular form right from the Tata Steel that happened in 2023, after that Baku Open, after that Polish League, and now she's here at Sharjah. This genius prodigy has shown time and time again that she plays spectacular chess. Now she's getting the exposure as well. That's absolutely spectacular. That's gonna go towards her confidence and towards her stride, that at an early age of just 18 years old now, that winning all of these tournaments, getting all of that prize money, you're able to actually just show to the rest of the world that you're forced to be reckoned with. And now, I mean, with the years to come, they're becoming an absolute legend. In 2025 we saw that, and in next year in candidates we're going to see that as well, that she is definitely destined to be a world chess champion, and hopefully she does. We are eagerly waiting to see that happen. So yeah, thank you for watching. I'll be coming back with some of these amazing games. Stay tuned to the channel, stay updated, and I'll be seeing you guys very soon. Thank you very much for watching.